Welcome to POLI-TRICKS, with Mercer Prescott and his band of eclectic cronies, bringing you the news you can use as it pertains to the idiocracies in politics. That's right. Mercer Prescott and his band of eclectic cronies. I don't care if you're a libertarian or Democratic or Republican. About politics. The suffrage is key, and the key to your freedom is knowledge. To vote. Or your ass. Don't forget to vote. Tell someone you know who isn't voting to vote.
And welcome to another episode of POLI-TRICKS with Mercer Prescott and his band of eclectic cronies. Yo, Merc, what you got for the new year?
Yeah, man, it's a brand new year, and trying to be optimistic. I'm really trying, but it's so damn hard.
Just like with that, you will have to be on some mad hallucinogenics or some really good medications in order to be optimistic in this political climate. Now, on other fronts, yes, movies, media, the impact females will have in media, yes. Job prospects, maybe not. Health, yes, you know what I'm saying? Spirituality, right. Yes. Politics, hell to the another fucking no.
I said one of my New Year's resolutions was going to be I'm going to try and curse less on the show, and I was like, man, fuck that bullshit. There's no way I can do a political show and not curse.
Because we need to curse. Curse now or kill later. I think you'd rather me use profanity than me to fuck your ass up. You dig what I'm saying?
It's like my dad. If he yells, you're good, because he's getting that anger out. If he doesn't yell, yeah, someone's getting fucked up really bad later, because he's storing all that anger for later. So yeah.
Did your dad say Philip Blue?
No.
Okay. Can I sound just like Philip Blue?
Oh man, I tell you, I say I will try to go into less. Sometimes I get a little emotional when on the show. I go into my mini Alex Jones tirades, and sometimes it's hard not to for some of the dumb shit that I see. Well, I did see Star Wars the other day. What was it? New Year's Eve. Went to go see Star Wars. Finally, I liked it, but there were a lot of He-Man woman haters out there. They don't like the whole social justice thing going on in Star Wars.
Right.
And
what I found about Star Wars, this is a little segue to take us off topic, just to get us back on topic, is it doesn't rely on optimal acting to get its job done. Like, if it was anything else, could those people got away with that being a blockbuster? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Right. It makes sense. I mean, you don't need I think the only person was really, and you may disagree with me, but I thought Mark Hamill was really good in that. And
I thought Mark Hamill was excellent in that. I thought he was better this time around than he was the first time around, to be honest. He seemed too whiny and too emotional back in the day. He was more balanced, maybe because he was displaying the balance in the force, and he's been in the game for like 40 years as a voice actor mostly, but still.
Right.
But I thought the girl who plays Rey, I think I just have a crazy crush on her or something. I think she's phenomenal. Everybody else saying, yeah, I didn't think the lady, rest in peace. What's her name?
Carrie Fisher.
I didn't think she was all that. I didn't think the lady who was the lady with the purple hair who was in love with Carrie Fisher, I didn't think she was all that. I didn't think, as much as I want him to be the greatest, I didn't think the guy who plays Finn, I didn't think he was that great, and that little fake relationship he had with the Asian girl, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that at all.
I agree with you on one thing. They could have cut out that whole casino scene, and it would have been the same.
Yeah, I told you about that last time I did the review on it. That could have been totally cut out, maybe made its own movie somewhere else that nobody would have paid attention to because it was on TV or whatever, or Netflix. Yeah, you could have gutted that whole thing out, and the movie would have been that much better.
Yeah.
It distracted from the movie to me. I guess what it wanted to have multiple plot lines. We don't need multiples. It doesn't work for anything else. Why do we do it for Star Wars? You know what I'm saying?
Right. like I said, the whole casino scene, and then
too much money, too much over the top for nothing. It added no value. But we digress. We need a movie review show, a media review show. That's what we need to do next, Merk.
What I need to do is go out and see more movies.
Yeah. You need to get on MoviePass.com. I need to start watching my queue in Netflix. I'm sitting on 380 right now. Why? But all this pertains to what you're about to talk about next in POLI-TRICKS.
I was watching. There's a guy I watch on YouTube called Weekend Warrior, and he just does these little videos. And he's from the Philippines, so he has that weird accent that I like so much. But anyway, he's talking about Star Wars, and a lot of people talking about the whole social justice thing with Star Wars that people are getting mad about, And one guy had a review on here that it made me very mad, and I'm going to read what he said word for word. Okay. He said, 4 strong female characters of varying races. All villains are white men, except for one who was apparently a white woman, but we never really see her face. I'm not one to look for these things, okay, but when it's overwhelmingly obvious that there's a political bent to something, it's obvious, and that detracts a little from the story because it makes it less believable. Here's my thing that made me mad about that, right? You don't think it's believable that the villains in your movies are all white men? Have you gone outside lately? All the villains all the top villains are white men. Donald Trump is a villain. Mitch McConnell is a villain. Paul Ryan is a villain. Orrin Hatch is a villain. The Koch brothers are villains. Alex Jones is a villain. These guys get on TV and lie to you to your face. Oh, the tax cuts are going to give you more money. Yeah, okay. But the corporations are making billions upon billions. They get on TV, and when they're not lying, they're telling you straight to your face they're going to take your health care and your Social Security, so that you could be broke when you're old and die early, so they can make your bones in the toilet.
And the banana parts, for real, is like they try to make it like it's going to be to your benefit. When it comes out, it's obvious it's not. The banana parts, banana Sunday parts, is that 95% of Americans were against it, and you voted for it anyway. I thought you were supposed to be representative of the people, as your Facebook post recently indicated. That's where I got that from, I believe. Either you or Union Thugs, that's who I follow the most on POLI-TRICKS. And that's bananas. I thought it was supposed to be, you're supposed to speak for us, speak to the benefit of us. And if you can't speak for us, then you won't speak for us. You won't get that vote. But why are we recklessly throwing away votes? Not you and I. You chose not to vote for the president. But people in general, based on party lines. I hate this party line bullshit. I'd rather have Trump than Hillary. He can relate to us. He was going to shake up the swamp. If he didn't drag up the swamp and pick up all the dirty shit from the bottom of the swamp, I don't know what did, because this is the worst political climate I've seen in my lifetime. And I've been alive 87 years. Yeah, I'm a fucking vampire, so fucking what? I don't care about the
It's like you age 50 years in 1 year, which is why you're 87.
Well, knowing if I'm still a vampire, we're here. We're gonna mainstream soon enough. I don't give a fuck.
When they start making True Blood,
we might as well come out. Shit, fuck it.
I look at it like this: when I see people make posts like that, they're either the least self-aware people in the world, or the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. Because there's no way you could look at all these people in government, right? Most of them being white men, most of them being villains. And of course, I'm not saying all white people are villains. Let's just get that out of the way. But I mean, but the people in Congress are villains, and a lot of them are white men, and a lot of them are just absolutely horrible. So if you don't want people writing movies like Star Wars, tell those writers to stop watching the news, because that's where they're getting their ideas from. And here's the thing: The villains in Star Wars have always been white men. That's never changed. That hasn't changed in 40 years. Star Wars came out in 1977. It's 2018. So 41 years, that hasn't changed. Why all of a sudden he's getting mad? Why? Because some women are admirals now in the movie? Get the fuck out of here, man. I hate this dumbass shit. But you know what? Those are the same people who will come out and just say that racism is over because Obama was president. Nothing's changed. I don't know why they keep thinking that. Put it like this, Blue. That article that you tagged me on, right? With the newspaper clipping, the 2 articles, right? I looked it up. I found out those 2 articles were in the same paper on the same day, right? So that wasn't just fancy photoshopping. Those were 2 articles in the Lincoln Journal-Star, right? And I was like, and the funny thing is, Blue, I'm not making this up to be funny. When I was looking it up yesterday, I was like, I wonder if that's Lincoln, Nebraska. And I was like, it is Lincoln, Nebraska, because the crawl on top that has the weather, it was negative 13 degrees in Lincoln, Nebraska yesterday. So yeah, that's definitely Nebraska. They have the worst winters out there. But anyway, in this clipping, right, and they show these 2 articles back to back. So you had one article, man gets prison time for pointing toy gun at traffic. This is from December of 2016, right? Man gets prison time for pointing toy gun at traffic. So long story short, a black man, 33-year-old, he was pointing a toy gun at morning commuters in front of the Hall of Justice. He was basically a meth addict. So he was high on meth. Now, keep in mind it's a toy gun, so nobody got hurt. They gave this man a year and a half in prison for meth possession. And keep in mind, he wasn't a meth dealer. He was a meth smoker. He had the glass pipe with him and everything. They gave him a year and a half in prison for the meth and 3 months in prison for disturbing the peace. So he's spending almost 2 years in prison for having meth on, for being high on meth, and then pointing a toy gun to people. No one was hurt, of course, because it was a toy gun. Now, in that same page, the article right below it, you have a white woman named Catherine Worcester, 57. So she pled no contest to 2 counts of felony theft. Now keep in mind, the other guy pled no contest as well. I forgot to mention that part. They both pled no contest to their crimes. She pled no contest to theft, right? Now here's the thing. She worked at Wells Fargo, right? They gave her 4 years of probation for stealing $3,000 from teledrawers. But here's the thing. When they did an audit on her teledrawers between January 1st, 2013 and July 12th of 2014, there was $75,000 missing from those teledrawers. But she pled guilty to $3,000 worth. They gave her 4 years probation. Now here's the thing. Here's the kicker. The prosecutor wanted her to go to prison. So Deputy Lancaster County Attorney Morgan Smith argued for prison time, but Lancaster County District Judge Andrew Jacobson said he didn't know that incarceration would serve any purpose. Yeah, it would serve a purpose to keep that bitch from stealing. That's the purpose. So she stole, or at least was party to stealing, $75,000. And she gets 4 years probation. This guy, basically, he needed help. They gave him almost 2 years in prison for pointing a toy gun. And you get these sons of bitches who come out there and they're just like, oh, we got a black president, so racism's over, bitches. No, it's not. It's just going in different directions. Number one, all the white supremacists are coming out of their little hidey holes thanks to Trump. And they got their little tiki torches marching in the streets with their Hager slacks. And then you have the institutional racism, which is dug in like a tick on a dog's ear. Okay? That's the reason why cops can get away with shooting people, because the institution has their back. It's institutional racism. You know? So you figure This is the same city that says, "Oh, a black man pointing a toy gun, you get prison time." Fuck your drug problem. You go in prison. But this woman steals almost $80,000. She's just like, you know what? What's prison gonna do? Girls will be girls. What do you think, Blue? You think these people who don't see it? You think they really don't see it, or do you think they're just trolling? Because I think they're trolling.
Trolling? I don't understand.
I mean, just basically they know that racism's still around, but they're just saying it's not, just to mess with people. Because I mean, it's pretty apparent that racism is still around, and racism is still hurting people and holding people back. So, those who are part of that factor, or those that are contributing to it, or those that are not impacted by it, maybe can't see it. Maybe in that way, in true essence, because they don't experience it, it's like, let me think of an example. Okay, here's a good example. Mm-hmm. A guy talks about having jock itch or having crabs or something. To me, that's like, man, who the fuck gets crabs, nigga? Don't you look at the fucking pussy? Don't you eat the pussy before you fuck it? I mean, how you gonna get crabs, dude? We can't relate to it because it's not our reality. Therefore, they can't relate to racism because it's not their reality. It kind of, that was a probably bad metaphor, but it kind of speaks to the same thing. You can't acknowledge it unless you firsthand can experience it or have an inference to it. Remember, white reality. I mean, I know you got some white friends, and if you listen to some of their conversations, their reality is very different from ours. Yeah, for the most part, And I told you, one of my friends, he said that
even the ones who sympathize with us and who support us and who seem to have our back more than our own black brethren, they still don't get it. They just know we're fucked up. We getting fucked. They don't understand all the intricacies of what it is. You know what I'm saying?
But I remember when that kid got shot in Vegas by the cop. The kid that was on his knees and the cop was making him crawl all over the place, and then the cop eventually shot him because when he went to pull up his pants, the cop thought he was going for a gun.
I never even heard that story. When did that happen?
Oh no, we talked about it on the show a few weeks ago. I'm trying to remember his name.
I stay high. I don't remember this shit.
But it was a cop in Vegas. Not in Vegas, I'm sorry, in Arizona. I apologize. And
I remember that was Arizona. See, you threw me off when you said Vegas.
I don't know why I said Vegas.
I got it now.
Probably because he was in a hotel room. I keep thinking Vegas. But long story short, he had a pellet gun. Someone thought it was real. The cops had him on his knees, and then when he went to reach for a pull up his pants, cop shot him. And I remember, I think it was Cenk Uygur on Young Turks. He said that in that moment, he says that white people are finally starting to see what it feels like to be black. Because you have a kid in the same situation that a black guy might be in. You're no threat. But they see you as a threat, and as soon as you make the wrong move, they just shoot you. And that cop told him, "Look, if you make a wrong move, I'm gonna kill you." He told him that. So when you see a white cop telling that to a black guy, the first thing they figure is, okay, well, he must have done something. Oh, he smoked pot when he was 17. Oh, what a piece of shit! I'm glad he's dead. I'm being glib, of course, but now it's a white guy who never committed a crime in his life, as far as I can tell. So he didn't have a criminal record as far as he had a job as an exterminator. Those pellet guns were to shoot birds.
Hold on. So why they F him up like that? Because he was shooting pellet guns and scaring people?
No, well, they said that he was in the window with the pellet gun, and somebody thought it was real. That's why the cop showed up in the first place. But and you can find that video, and that video is pretty graphic. Because
I mean, that video. That video hurt me to my heart. Because I think he had like a little girl or a daughter or something. Now, was he with that lady, or were they together? That lady?
Yeah, him and the lady were together. And the cops, they made her crawl too. So they were talking about they was worried about her safety, but they were still making her crawl on the ground. Still had the guns on her too.
Oh man.
Yeah. But you figure, I wish that a guy didn't have to die for people to see what it's really like to be black in America. I wish that didn't have to happen, you know, for people to really see it, because now it's kind of like you have to, instead of just having the empathy, that they have to really just actually see what it's like, and in this case it cost someone their life, you know. But I mean, when they see stories like that, you know, they're probably looking at it as, oh, this guy who got the year and a half in jail, you know, they'll just make excuses like, oh, he was a meth addict. Well, this woman, she's 57, she's probably a grandmother, and she needs to be with her grandbabies or something like that. I don't know what her family situation is like, but people will make excuses like that, you know. But it's a sad state of affairs that people still think that, oh, Obama's president, so no more racism, so stop your whining and get a job. Someone told Tim Wise, who is a I don't even know what I want to call him, but watch him on YouTube. He's a great guy. And when he somebody said that after Obama got elected back in 2008, somebody messaged him and they told him, well, we got a black president, so now you got to get yourself a new hustle. And he's like, what he's doing is not a hustle. It's basically just telling it like it is. You know? But nothing has really changed. You know, nothing's really changed. It's how do you say it, Blue? The game is the same. It's just the players that change. You know. And one thing I want to clear up, you know, Saturday we talked about identity politics, and I think I flubbed the definition. You know, I didn't have the dictionary definition in front of me. I was pretty much right, but I think I kind of flubbed it a bit. So I just want to go over that for a quick moment. All right. So identity politics, right? It's a tendency for people of a particular religion, race, social background to form exclusive political alliances, moving away from traditional broad-based party politics, right? So like I said, I was talking to my nephew. He's 16. In a year and a half, he's going to be able to vote. And I was telling him, stay away from identity politics, because it's meant to divide. Now, here's the thing I want to clarify. It's not that identity politics aren't important. It's just that if you want to reach the broadest amount of people, you got to stay true to what brings us all together and not what tears us all apart. To me, identity politics is more of like a sidecar as opposed to the main motorcycle. I know it's a bad analogy, but I mean, look at it like this, right?
So you're telling me that POLI-TRICKS is moving towards empowerment through politics and not just ragging on the Republicans' bitch ass and the Democrats just fucking
Yeah, well, a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything. No, Republicans are still scumbags and Democrats are still fucking up. That hasn't changed. But the only way we're really going to fix it is to do. And I kind of run on both sides here, because on the one side, I'm like, look, Trump fans, don't fuck with them, because they don't really care about fixing things. They just want to see liberals cry. They love those butthurt liberals and their liberal tears, you know. But there are some out there who are willing to listen. And if you see that, you know, hear them out, you know. But I mean, the diehard Trump fans, fuck them, leave them. You got no use for them, you know. You want to talk to them, talk about baseball. Talk about the next Terminator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and his 74-year-old self. Talk about anything else, just don't talk politics with them, because it's not worth it. But identity politics can be, like, that's what they really put at the Democrats' feet, is identity politics. What they mean is, well, now with those people, like the Ben Shapiro's of the world, who's a Republican pundit, what they mean is anything that doesn't deal with working class whites is not worth talking about. That is absolutely not true. Because we're all a part of this country, whether they want us to be or not. We're all a part of this country. So yes, women's rights are important. Minorities' rights are important. You know, but the thing that brings us all together is education, jobs. You know, the environment. For Christ's sakes, you know, we had what we have last year, Blue, like 63 hurricanes, and they were all Category 5. So it's not like these things don't need to be addressed. But as far as, you know, if you run if you're a politician and you run exclusively on identity politics, you're going to have a hard time, because you're going to have Republicans against you, and then you're also going to have some liberals against you, you know, because you got to, you know, you figure somebody like Bernie Sanders, the reason why he does so well is because the stuff that he talks about benefits everybody. That's why Bernie Sanders can go to West Virginia. I want to say, don't quote me, I have to look it up. It might have been a different state. I want to say that in Obama's 8 years, I want to say that West Virginia is the only state he didn't visit. No, one of the Dakotas, I think. I would have thought it'd be West Virginia though, because West Virginia, you know, like Dave Chappelle said, with their coal-smeared faces.
Nah, I've been to West Virginia. I think I told you my horror story when I was like 14 years old, going on our way to Maryland, Baltimore for our family reunion. That ain't, nah, it ain't nothing to mess with. You with Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah. West Virginia ain't nothing to fuck with. But I mean, you figure it like this, right? Like I said, Bernie Sanders can go to West Virginia. He can go to all these southern states and speak to people, because universal health care is something that everybody can get behind. It doesn't matter what letter you have in front of your name, whether it's an R, a D, an I, a libertarian, you know, coffee party, whatever it is. That's something that everybody can get behind. And that's why everybody loves Bernie. Well, most people love Bernie. Nobody, you know, there's no one.
Well, if everybody loved Bernie, hello, my microphone working? Yeah, if everybody loved Bernie, then why did the Democrats unhinge him by going behind his back and doing some stupid stuff to try to get Hillary to nod? Oh, you don't want to talk about that, Mercer?
Oh, I talked about it all the time. I talked about it ad nauseum. Because it goes into the whole thing. Like, for instance, I mean, sidetrack here. Orrin Hatch is retiring at the end of this year. You know, I mean, it's not that big a deal. He's 83 years old. You know, so it's not like he's 41 and retiring. He's been doing this for 4 decades. You know, and I joked about it on Facebook. I'm like, now he can enjoy his ill-gotten gains and check out this collection of children's bone marrow.
I recently presented a bill that congressmen and Senate can only do 16 years, basically four terms, and they balked at me. They threw it down. They're like, no, of course not. But I said, you only let the president do 2 terms. Well, I mean, why I get to stay in office so long? You know what I mean?
You know what he did? You know why they did that? Because when FDR was president, he was going to be president. I mean, that happened anyway. He was literally president until he died. But I mean, FDR, who was a social democrat, was so powerful, they were just like, yeah, we just like this guy. We'll just keep electing him over and over and over again. And that's why they did the term limits, you know. But the problem is, you can't build those relationships with lobbyists if you're only doing a couple terms. I mean, you figure Paul Ryan, there was only a rumor that Paul Ryan was going to retire. Because you figure now he's fulfilled his dream of giving all our money to the rich. So now he can get that cushy lobbying job and, you know, walk off into the sunset. His main mission is accomplished. It's like when the cowboy kills all the bad guys and he just gets on his horse and just rides off into the sunset. That's basically Orrin Hatch. He's accomplished his mission. He's helped destroy America and made his friends rich. Anytime you hear about a payoff, Orrin Hatch is getting a piece of it. It's like what they say in King of New York. He said, if a dime bag is sold in the park, I want my cut. That's Orrin Hatch. So, and then to make it worse, of all the people who's going to run for his seat, Orrin Hatch is from Utah. Mitt Romney is rumored to be running for his seat. Now, here's the thing about Mitt Romney. All these people...
I thought Mitt Romney was in Maine. That's not the same guy?
Oh, no. Well, Mitt Romney's not doing anything right now. He used to be governor of... No, not Utah. Oh, God, what state was he? He lives in Utah. But, I don't remember what state he was the governor of. Some state out east.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, thank you. But, all these happy-go-lucky pundits are saying that, mostly the mainstream guys are like, if Mitt Romney wins that seat, he's going to be a thorn in Trump's side. Really? Mitt Romney? Mittens Romneyford? A.K.A. Worthington J. Monaco III? Look, the thing with Mitt Romney is he has, and this part of the reason why he lost to Obama, he has no spine. He's got no heart, no constitution. If you look at him the wrong way, he'll flip-flop, like the footwear of the same name. He's basically, he's just any way the wind blows. That's what Mitt Romney is. You understand? He's not going to stand up to anybody. He's going to fold like a lawn chair as soon as you look at him sideways.
One of the caveats to that, one of the things you could take away, is that Mitt Romney, when he was running Massachusetts was doing the damn thing. He got them basically universal health care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And which is why it was so disheartening when he was against it when Obama was trying to put it out. Not universal health care, but, the healthcare reforms and stuff like that. It was basically Romney's model that he used in Massachusetts. So that's what I mean. If you figure, if Romney really cared like that, he would have helped Obama make Obamacare better and put it out so it could help more people. But instead, he was against it because he's supposed to be against it, because he's paid to be against it. So Mitt Romney getting that seat, nothing will change. It's going to be the same old thing. So it's absolutely ridiculous. And then to answer your question, Blue, the question that you didn't realize that you asked me, you basically, and hold on, I got articles all over the place here, but you asked me about Congress, right? You tagged me on a post about Congress's approval rating, right? Why, if Congress's approval rating is so low, why do they keep getting reelected over and over again? Right? Now, in the meme that I saw, they had Congress at 20% approval. That was generous, because right now the last Gallup poll that they took back in November of last year, right? Congress was at a 13% approval rating and an 81% disapproval rating. 81% people disapproved of Congress's job. Now, keep in mind, this is Congress as a whole. So this is not for any particular congressman. It's just Congress as a whole. How do you think Congress is doing? 81% disapprove. Only 13% approve. 6% had no opinion.
If you disapprove like that, Gallup polls are they're not really good representations of the population, let's be honest.
They're better than most.
I've never filled out one. You've never filled out one.
I have, but it's been such a long time since I filled out a Gallup poll. I think the last time I filled out a Gallup poll was Obama's first term. Was the last time
I've never filled out one. Been here 87 years and haven't filled out one. Come on, what's wrong with that picture? I'm registered to vote. I've been, independent. Well, I guess because I was independent. I guess they don't ask for independent votes. Unfortunately, I had to switch over to Democrats for this last election for some stupid-ass reason.
Look, I was okay as an independent. Because in North Carolina, you can still vote.
Did you get to stay independent for this last election?
Yeah.
They made me switch over. They said I couldn't be independent.
Really?
Here in South Point.
Because now keep in mind, for the presidential election, I was able to stay independent. Now for the primaries, that may be different. Now my friend has been independent for years, and he's still able to vote.
It was the primaries.
Now he's still able to. Yeah, he's been independent for like 10 years, and he still votes in the primaries. You just have to fill out a different ballot, but you can still vote.
Well, I'm telling you what happens. Maybe next time you need to come down there with me.
Oh, definitely. Just screaming at some blue-haired old lady who just tells you some dumb shit. Listen here,
right. That's all it is on those tables. What's your name? Felipe. PH, no, bitch, Felipe. It's just like in Spanish. Hello, I'm from Cuba.
PH.
I mean, a lot of people made that. A lot of white people made that mistake.
They probably think it's French.
Yeah, they say like Philip with an E or something. It's crazy.
But you figure if you look at in Gallup, they had this whole thing of congressional approval from 1975 until 2017, right? In 1975, it was at 30%. It peaked in after September 11th. It was at 84% approval.
Oh man!
And then it just started dipping right back down to where it is now, 13%. The lowest it had ever been in that run was 2014, went down to 9%. So right now, as of November, it was 13%. So you figure, if you have this low approval rating, why do all these congressmen keep getting reelected? Right? So I got
What's the answer? Okay.
Yeah. I got four things that I could think of, right? None of them, not in any sort of order, right? But four things that I could see. Number one, something that we talked about on the show a few times, gerrymandering. You know, you figure North Carolina is a perfect example of gerrymandering, right? And you know, right now the maps are going through the courts. If you look at our maps, you could tell that they were just, you know, they were drawn for that effect. Because there's no, I mean, in some areas they're like the squares, and some of them is just squiggly Picasso lines. Because they just want to either pack all the black people into a couple of districts, or just pick their own voters, pretty much. Right? Okay. So you figure in the 2012 election, right? Even though there were more Democratic votes than Republican votes, Republicans still took a whole bunch of seats. They still won seats, and that's because of gerrymandering. So it means that in some areas, in order to unseat an incumbent, you have to win by between 20 and 25%. How often does an election that you win by 25%? That's a huge margin. So gerrymandering. Now, keep in mind, Democrats gerrymander too. If I said that they didn't, I'd be a lying sack of crap. But Republicans made it an art form, because they know that after that first term, people are going to be like, yo, these dudes is bullshit. We got to get them out of here. And now you can't, because they're gerrymandered in. And even if they fight those things in court, the damage that gerrymandering does will last at least another couple of elections. So that's why they do it, even though they know those maps will get challenged in court. Those court challenges take forever. They've been trying to change those maps for what, 3-4 years? And they keep stalling them out so that they can keep the maps as is. And those maps will probably be that way, I'm going to guess, through the 2018 elections. I know they're trying to get it changed. I know they won a couple of court cases, but it just takes time. And that's what they count on. Another thing that helps Congress stay put is voter apathy. You know, you have people who just don't take part in the system, even though they're able-bodied. I joke about my dad all the time. He doesn't vote for anybody because he hates everybody. He thinks all politicians are crooks. Doesn't matter what letter you have in front of your name.
I remember this one time I was at band camp, and there was this guy named Mercer Prescott, and he said he wasn't going to vote for the president, so he didn't. And then we got this guy named Trumpageddon in office, and he's been complaining ever since. You know what I mean?
That guy sounds like a jackass. But but my thing is this, on that real quick, I've been eating shit about that for the last year and change, and I look at it like this. When they say, well, if you didn't vote for Hillary, then you voted for Trump. That's not true. I didn't vote for anybody. There's two other people in that election. Why couldn't my vote go to one of them? Why couldn't they say, well, if you didn't vote for Hillary, you voted for Gary Johnson? You know, the only way I would have voted for Trump is if I had taken a ballot and scribbled out the box next to Donald J. Trump's name and slid it in the Scantron. That'd have been it. Other than that, I just simply didn't vote. But that voter apathy, it's a killer, because you have a lot of people who do vote with their emotions, you know. So that's why signing that tax bill was rough, because number one, yeah, you're going to get some people who are going to benefit from that tax bill right away. So when it comes to come time to vote and they're getting that tax cut, they're going to remember that, and then they're going to vote for Republican. But then there's going to be some people who, now those Medicaid cuts are in, so now maybe their kid can't get health insurance anymore. Maybe they can't get health insurance anymore, and they're going to remember that too. I know Congress would have rather Trump sign the bill in 2018 so that those Medicaid cuts won't take place until 2019. But if they did that, then those some of those cuts wouldn't take place right away. So it was a double-edged sword. But the main point about that is that when people are hurting, they're either going to be angry or they're going to be apathetic. And if they're apathetic, then that means they're not at the polls. Usually when Republicans win, they win when there's low voter turnout. That's why they constantly try and keep people from voting by cutting early hours, cutting the voting cycle down, whatever they could do. There was one point where they killed Sunday voting, because what they would do is, especially in African American areas, they would all go to church, and then they'd all jump on a bus and go to the polls and vote. So they cut that out, because Democrats were taking advantage of it in a good way, because you're supposed to go vote, you know. But they didn't like that, the fact that all these African Americans were jumping on buses and going to vote. So they killed Sunday voting. And a lot of stuff like that, people just kind of give up, and they're apathetic, and they're just like, well, you know, I'm not going to change anything. Even though there was that one election where the guy won by one vote, literally one vote. So another thing is voter laziness. Now, I know what you're thinking. Voter apathy and voter laziness are two different things. Apathy, I already explained. Laziness is basically just, oh, you're a Democrat, I'm just going to vote for you because you're a Democrat. What do they call it? Straight ticket voting. So basically, you just check the box, and it means you vote for all the Democrats, or vote for all the Republicans, or just vote for somebody whose name that you just recognize because you saw his ad on TV. Do you ever see a movie called The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy?
I have.
You remember how he became a senator in that movie?
He had the same name as the former one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He had the same name as a former senator, and that senator died, so he just ran, and people were just like, oh, I know this guy, I'm just going to vote for him, and he becomes a senator. So it's
that was actually one of his better films.
Yeah. And Charles S. Dutton was in it. I'm a big fan of his. So it was that voter laziness. People just...
He kind of reminds me of you. I guess if they did a movie, if we did like an indie movie, you could play him.
Who, Charles S. Dutton?
Yeah.
You know what? I've been told I look more like Forrest Whitaker, probably because of my lazy eye. I joke about all the time how, as I get older, like when I was a teenager, people were like, you know what, you look like Darryl Strawberry. And I was like, I don't see it, but thank you, because he's an athlete. And then when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, people were just like, you look like Damon Wayans. And I was like, I don't see it, but thank you, famous actor. And now I'm in my 40s, like, you know, you look like Forrest Whitaker. And I was just like, I hope it stops there.
He's a famous actor. He's more famous than the other guy you named.
He is. But I guess because of the lazy eye, people probably like, oh, you look like Forrest Whitaker. And I was like, thanks. But the last thing, and this is the most important thing, which ties into voter laziness, is ideology. If for some people, if you hate the same people, they'll just vote for you. So even though their economic policies are just going to murder you, oh, you hate Mexicans? I hate Mexicans. I'm going to vote for you. And there are people who actually do that. They vote for their ideology as opposed to reality. The reality
I
is...
think that was a big part. I think that's what Trump... Oh, go ahead. Say your reality and not going through my spill. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm just saying that if you have ideology versus reality, reality wins every time, because ideology is not going to pay your bills. It's not going to pay your rent. It's not going to put food in your kids' mouths or a roof over their head or clothes on their backs. Reality is going to do that. Having a job with a strong union to protect your rights, to keep your wages up with inflation, so that you're not getting priced out of every apartment you live in. You can't do that through ideology. Ideology is basically just, the way you think things should be as opposed to the way things are. Right.
When I was 69 years old, I read a book called The Art of the Deal, the Donald Trump book. Well,
did you actually read that piece of shit book?
Yeah. Let me tell you why though. I just wanted to know I wanted to be white famous. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to do what white people do to get famous. But anyway, I say all that to say this is that he basically took many pieces of the puzzle on the road to presidency to become the president. He played on people's hate for other races. He played on people's ideologies, like you just stated, and he rode that train to Georgia.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's so apparent. It's not like, it's not like Donald Trump pretending to be like this good Christian, pious soul, and then he gets in the office like, haha, gotcha, motherfuckers. I'm Donald Trump, bitch. He didn't do that. He was that way the entire election. He was mocking disabled people. He was talking about, Mexicans are rapists and they're drug dealers. Some might be good people. We're going to build a wall, make Mexico pay for it. What kind of dumb shit is that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And people are like, build that wall. Because it's so easy to blame the others for your problems. What did I hear Wyclef say one day? Cats will fight other cats. It's just the dogs they have the problems with. They ain't trying to fight no dogs. They'll just fight other cats because it's easier, than being eaten by a dog. I mean, you figure like this. When they say, the Mexicans are stealing our jobs. No, they're not. You know what it means to steal someone's job? It means that, I'm being... I've seen it in the office. I've had that happen to me, where someone sabotaged me to get a promotion that I deserved. That actually happened to me. It's half the reason why I'm in North Carolina now. But the way they make it seem, like if you're working construction, then you go to the bathroom when you come out of porta potty, it's like Jose is doing your job. And he's like, well, you got to go home now. Jose has your job now. It doesn't happen like that. A Mexican can't steal your job. The job has to be given to him by the employer. Now, will they work for less? Yeah. Is it because they want to? No. You think a Mexican wouldn't want to make $17 an hour, $20 an hour? But if they're undocumented, they'll take whatever you give them. That's why they fight against immigration all the time. Immigration reform, because if these people come over and they're legal, they don't have to settle for $10 an hour to do construction. I used to get $10 an hour working in the mailroom. You know what I mean? So it's absolutely insane that people are, how easy it is to prey on people's ideology. Easy. All you gotta do is give them someone to hate, and then they'll vote for you. Like I said before, Paul Ryan will get on TV and say, hey, I'm going to take your Social Security and your Medicare. And they're just like, but he hates Mexicans, so I love Paul Ryan. Okay, I've never heard Paul Ryan come out and actually say the words, I hate Mexicans. But Paul Ryan has a huge disdain for poor people. Hates poor people to death. Does everything he can to hurt them. You're gonna cut money from children's programs? Really? Why? So some billionaire can fill his swimming pool with champagne? It's absolutely ridiculous, but they just don't see it. all these a lot of people saying this may be Trump's last year in office. I told you Trump is going to last until the end. What radio show were we on, Blue? We were listening on their podcast, and I called in. And I told them that Trump is not going to get impeached. He's going to make it the 4 years. And they thought I was insane.
Shit, don't get me to lie. Yeah. I don't remember. We've been on so many because we're so famous.
Yeah, they thought I was crazy. Trump is not getting impeached.
But honestly, he may even get a second term because honestly, what competition will he have from the Democrats? And can any independent get a strong enough following to overcome it all?
The only way we take the White House in 2020 is if Bernie Sanders runs. If Bernie Sanders doesn't run, it ain't going to happen. Because if Bernie in the polls, even back then, not even talk about now, after all said and done, even during the election, when they ran those polls, Bernie was beating Trump by at least 12 points. And the only person who was beating him by more, Joe Biden. Joe Biden is as corporate as corporate Democrats come, but we just can't help but love Joe Biden. I can't help it. If Joe Biden was running against Trump, I'd vote for Joe Biden. I don't know why. And Joe Biden is everything I hate in corporate politics. But it's Joe. It's Joltin' Joe. I can't help it. Maybe because he was Obama's VP, I don't know. But if Bernie ain't running, it's done. You think Kamala Harris is gonna beat Donald Trump? No. You think Tim Kaine, aka Baron von Milquetoast, you think he's gonna be able to beat Trump? What's he gonna do? Talk Spanish? Fuck out of here. That's not gonna be enough to win. Cory Booker? No, he's not gonna win. If it ain't Bernie, it's done. They better pump him full of formaldehyde, keep him alive. Because if he ain't running, it's done. You absolutely right, Blue. If Bernie ain't running, Trump gets a second term. It's just done. But I will say this though, you know, America is the only place in the world where failure is rewarded. Congress has a 20% approval, 13% approval rating as of last November. 13%. And unless these cats retire, they're going to be incumbents. They're going to get reelected. Unless, of course, you know, they get caught up in some sex scandal. Did you watch Dave Chappelle? Did you watch that special?
Nah, I'm gonna watch it this weekend.
Dave Chappelle, he was tearing it up, man, and he made a point.
Cause right now I'm watching Black Mirror, like you should be watching.
Yeah, I keep hearing awesome things about Black Mirror, so it's on my list. I just haven't gotten to it yet because I'm watching like 7 shows at once because I'm trying to get them off my list. But Dave Chappelle said something that he's talking about the Me Too movement. And he said, we can't even say, he talk about men, so we can't even say Me Too anymore. Because he was like, yo, Dave, I'm going to comedy club. And he was like, instead of saying Me Too, he's like, I am also going to the comedy club. Like, you can't say Me Too anymore. But he did say something he said a lot of profound things in those specials. Because there's, you know, it's 2 more specials. So one, he's on the big stage, and one, it's like a more personal setting. But he was saying that it was talking about race relations, but he said it was so much easier for Bruce Jenner to change his gender than it was for Muhammad Ali, for Cassius Clay to change his name. I was like, he was hitting it on all points out there. Dave Chappelle is the man. He's still a beast after all these years. No. But if Bernie ain't running, it's going to be a bloodbath. You can mark my words on that. And here's my thing. When I say stuff like, Trump's going to get a second term, Democrats are going to get their asses kicked in 2018, it's not because I want them to. It's because when you watch people do the same things over and over and over again and expect different results, I'm not Nostradamus over here. This is pretty much the way it's going to be, because they're doing the same things that cost them the election in 2016 against the most beatable politician who ever walked the face of the earth. I could have won that motherfucking election if I had run it.
I wrote a song about it. Back, forth, my love goes. Oh,
I love that song. I have it on my playlist on Spotify. But
then you have a very definitive playlist. It sounds like it's banging. Share that playlist. I want to see what else is on there.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff you won't like, but I'll share the playlist. Trust me, there's gonna be a lot of stuff you're gonna be like, what the hell are you listening to? But
and how the hell those two songs go together? What the hell is he thinking?
Oh, I just hit star on whatever comes to mind. So, but what are your closing thoughts, Blue?
My closing thoughts is this. Like Merck said, ideology. A lot of times we align ourselves with ideologies and we fall ourselves falling behind the wrong people representing the wrong things. If you never voted before, vote. If you threw away votes in the past, vote. If you know some people who ain't voting, vote. If you have a car and you're able to get other people to the polls, help them vote. If you can vote early, please vote early. Encourage all your people to vote early. Early voting is actually a game changer. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I always vote early. So whatever, like I said, they closed the window of opportunity in North Carolina, but even in for the last elections, I voted early. Get that out of the way, because I don't always have the luxury of having election day off. Although I will have election day off this year because I got to go vote in the midterms. So, and I have no excuse because my polling place is literally up the street. It's before I get to the supermarket. There's the firehouse, and that's my polling place. So, but my closing thoughts are this. Basically, you just have to weigh your options and figure out what's more important, your ideology or your reality. It's basically it should not be this hard to just figure, hey, do I want a living wage or do I want to hate on Muslims? Figure out what's more important for you and stop being so goddamn I don't even know what they call it, what the opposite of self-aware is. But you have people who are just not self-aware and they come out and they say things and they look like jackasses. So just pay attention to what's going on before you speak. Like I said, the guy who made that comment about oh well, you guys have Obamacare, you guys suck. I have the ACA, and people were like, dude, it's the same thing. And he was so embarrassed he deleted his account. Don't do a little bit of research so you don't have to say things where you have to delete your Twitter account or delete your Facebook account because you made a jackass of yourself. It's not that hard. If you have a phone in your pocket, that means you have a computer in your pocket. Look that shit up, man. It's not that hard. But for 2018, I know I said a lot of sour things about 2018 and what's going to go on since King Joffrey's still president. But only way we can make this year good is we gotta put some effort into it. Because if we let this year go on cruise control, it's gonna be just as shitty as last year, and we can't have that. So, like Blue said, get out and vote. Get your people to the voting booths. If you live in a state that has voter ID laws, get your people over to the DMV. Get them their IDs. Beat them at their own game. But it's not gonna be better by you just sitting around and sitting out. And that's all I had.
And that, sir, is enough. And that concludes another episode of POLI-TRICKS with Mercer Prescott and his band of eclectic cronies. Please subscribe to the Urban Breakdown podcast, featuring hit shows like 360 Degrees, POLI-TRICKS, and He Said, She Said. And you can find that on all podcast stations, any podcast app, I prefer iTunes. Merc prefers Google Play. Some people use Podcast World, or Podcast This or Podcast That. It's just numerous ways you can get podcasts in this day and time. I advertise them more effectively in the future. All right. Stay tuned. And don't forget, vote. Tell your friends to vote. Tell a motherfucker who ain't voting to vote. I love it.